Hang on. And I gotta turn that fan down. Oh man. It's a cold, rainy October day. No, I was just sitting here and I was staring at the title box, and because of the default of this channel, it said Doctor Who News. And then, just as I'm trying to figure, okay, what are we going to call this one? Because my windshield wiper was still on automatic. And so they would, and I'm like, wow. So I said, okay, the massive fart noise. Uh, Kind of like the massive fart noise that came out of the BBC the other day. Folks, yeah, somebody brought up a good question. I believe it was Trekopedia. If Doctor Who does not have a streaming outlet at this point, after the Disney Plus thing fails or goes away, finally. Well, it's already gone away, just after War Between the Land and the Sea is what I mean. How is it going to air internationally? Who's going to carry it? Because that's a good question. I died laughing when, I sit here and I look back over all the ratings videos about how Doctor was a miserable failure with this many million views, this many million rate. I'm like, guys, Deadliest Catch, one of the biggest shows and reality shows there was a massive hit, and it averaged, like, for a few years there, like 3 million viewers an episode. Yet Doctor Who was a massive failure with, and they're all basing it on overnight ratings, of course, in one location. No, the problem was, I kind of knew from the beginning Disney was going to bail. We've talked about this for a long time, and that's because look at Disney's history with programs. I'm talking way before they took a shit on the Star Wars franchise. They'd come out with like new animated projects. They'd run maybe 1 or 2 seasons of it. No matter how popular it was or how bad it was, it just got dropped. Like I said, you had DuckTales, Tailspin, just a couple off the top of my head. And they would just run it, no matter how popular it was, a couple series later, it's gone. Yeah, Chippendales Rescue Rangers, stuff like that. And so when they did this with Doctor Who, I'm like, okay. My part of my mind's like, oh, yeah, let's see how long this actually lasts. And sure enough, yeah, it didn't. But also, of course, Nardi and the gang are already out there making their victory laps, touching themselves in funny places, and I'm just loving how these guys suddenly became the pulse of the country. A bunch of comic book store owners and guys who probably haven't left their basements since Reagan was president. It did well. I don't think any of them are old enough to have seen Reagan as president, but you get the gist of what I'm talking about. At least a couple presidencies. And yet, now they're the finger on the pulse, and yet now they're now being asked about everything. Yeah, State of Decay wasn't a bad one. With the great vampire and whatnot. That is quite a bit of lore to the Whoniverse. Yeah, I can see that now, with Trump's presidency coming to an end, at the end of his current term. Everyone's like, he's going to be an everlasting... Guys, it's right there in our Constitution. A president can only serve 2 terms or 10 years. And the 10 years is in case you came in as vice president, in case of, the previous president had died of illness or whatnot. So, I can see that now. I am going to make Dr. Who... I can't do a Trump impression. I really can't. I really can't. I don't. I haven't really studied him enough. It's not worth my time. It's like I said, about every president you've had in the last half century have been figureheads. They've just been put there to take all the flack and all the responsibility while the puppet masters run the show from behind the scenes. Well, yeah, the guy's like, getting up there. He's not exactly a spring chicken anymore, And that's another thing I think that should have been put in the Constitution. It would be a bit ageist, but I don't think if you're over like 60, you should be running for president. Because, after you get to a certain age, your faculties start to depart from you in most cases. So there are exceptions to that rule, don't get me wrong, but there's, it's not your fault. It's not because it's because of, medical circumstances and things like that. So yeah, I didn't really have a title for this morning, and sure enough, just as I'm thinking of a title, yeah, the windshield wiper, it turned out I left it on. They came up and goes, makes this big farting noise. Why would you want to visit Lima? The only thing of interest we have here is the General Dynamics plant, I think, somewhere, and I can't remember where the hell that is. It's where they build the A1 Abrams battle tank. And in the summer, everything smells like cow manure. And as it gets towards winter, when they're, getting the fields ready for the following year, everything smells like cow manure. Yeah, right. You show up on Lady G's door. She won't even let my family come to visit. You try sleeping on the floor with a 11-pound cat that likes to go on the run in the middle of the night. He gets the way, call it the... Oh. He gets the zoomies in the middle of the night. Also, it's not like we live anywhere near anything interesting. I'm not kidding. We are literally out here in the middle of nowhere. We do have the Armstrong Space Center and all that, but that's right. You can take a 20 or 30-minute visit down the historic Wapakoneta, which was Neil Armstrong's hometown. Then you have the Armstrong Space Center. You got to pay $8 to get into. Meanwhile, an hour and a half or two up the road, you can go to the Air Force Museum for free. But yeah, we don't have a huge house. That's another thing I don't get. It was the obsession with people buying massive 20, 30, 50 room houses. It's like, why? The Mothman Museum is in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and that's not too far from here. We went to there, but like I said, it's still a good hike. It's about 3 hours away, something like that. It's literally just over the bridge in West Virginia. I went there because A, I was curious, B, it was close, and C, I'd seen it God knows how many times in Fallout 76. And just out of curiosity, I had to see how close they got it. And there are quite a few details they did get in there right. I was shocked. If I had the time, I would actually go to Helvetia and visit during Fastnacht, but or Fastnacht, however they pronounce it, because that's another big thing in Fallout 70. And also, I've seen pictures of Helvetia, West Virginia, and I've, of course, seen it in Fallout 76. And there's a lot of shit they did get right down to the last detail. It's scary. But okay, Doctor Who, yeah, we finally got the news dropped on us that Disney backed out. And of course, we know the only reason they finally came out and admitted it is because stuff was starting to leak out. The dam was leaky. We're talking it was leaking like a sieve, and also common sense was prevailing. It's like, why would Disney wait until your spinoff airs to make a decision on whether or not they're going to keep your main show? It sounds to me like Disney got boned, or we got boned as well, because if the decision was for 26 episodes, then why didn't we get 26 episodes of Doctor Who? Why are we getting this 5-part miniseries that I'm hoping is really good? Because that could have been 5 more episodes of Doctor Who. Well, yeah, Chibnall made the Sontarans what they were in the first place. They were not comedy relief. These guys were badasses. They've been fighting a war with the Rootans for thousands of years. That's one species I'd like to see come back that I'm shocked they didn't touch on, because they are shapeshifters. The Rootans. And the only time they ever appeared on screen was in Horror of Fang Rock. So I'm really shocked that they never came back on the main show, because unless there was a rights thing going on, I don't know. Yet I agree with you, we should have had 2 13-episode seasons. We didn't need a spin-off. And now that the main show is pretty much confirmed gone, it's like, why, sure, I'm going to watch the spin-off, but the more and more I read about it, the more and more I'm like, oh my God, what's he doing? Also, with what they've done to, Unit, where they've, thrown in a bunch of characters that are just there to be there. And I agree with that assumption, Mark. I think the only reason RTD is coming back is to tie things up, and then he's gone. Because from what I was hearing for a while, one of the conditions Disney had was they wanted RTD gone. And I think from what I heard at the BBC and some other things I've heard recently, they didn't like it either. Wouldn't that have been funny? Kate has the black lion, Waycott has the pink lion, and the blue lion, or whatever. I can't remember. Well, Well, the thing was, I think the only reason, as we've already talked about this, but anyone who's new watching this, Piper was brought in to put a stopgap on everything so that they'd have to bring RTD back to explain it. And I think that's why he did that. Instead of just letting it go to a blank page, he threw that in as like, oh, look what we can do. We can get Billie Piper back. And it's like, dude, you ain't signed nothing with Billie Piper. How do you know you're going to get her back? Just because she did some work for you back in the day and she agreed to come and do this one appearance stunt doesn't mean she's going to put her whole career on hold to come and make jack shit doing Doctor Who. Come on, she's been on Netflix series, she's been in movies. She's making money now. It's not going to be like when you hired her and probably paid her just above scale to come back in 2005. To appear in 2005 when she did. It's not going to be that cheap. She's busy, which means you got to work around a schedule as well. Oh, well, I just saw the clock hit 15 minutes, so I got to get going. So enjoy your Thursdays, everybody. Hopefully we'll start hearing more, especially about the missing episodes and whatnot. Well, no, remember Eccleston had a whole list of people he wanted gone, and RTD was just one of them. So we're talking like was it I can't remember the whole list right now, and also I don't have time to go into it. Folks, so please take care of yourselves, be kind, be calm, be safe, enjoy your Thursday, and hopefully we'll catch some of you back here tomorrow. Take care, everybody.